All right, everyone, we might need to get a little bit more serious about our northern border too, because five Iranians actually just tried to enter the United States near my home state of Vermont. They were responded to by the Swanton Champlain station, actually, trying to come in through upstate New York. Be funny if they were coming to try to kill me. Probably not, but no Iranian ever screwed with me myself. But it is still worrisome. People are attempting to illegally enter through both borders. Then you've got a third problem with regards to immigration. This one is much less easily solved. People will come in on tourist visa and then they will simply not leave. Well, it's real difficult to formulate a strategy to defend against that unless you want to eliminate all tourism to the United States. That seems like it would be economically unbeneficial, I'm just saying. So we can fortify the southern border as we have been. We can guard the northern border. That's less commonly a crossing place, but sometimes we're talking a few 100,000 people instead of several million people. It's disproportionate. Getting into Canada is a little bit more difficult than getting into Mexico, for example, and then traversing. But then you have the overstaying a visa problem. Like, imagine that I flew right now because I've got a passport. I can do this at leisure into the Netherlands. I can disappear off anywhere into Europe, basically, and there's not really a whole lot that they can do about it. Likewise, people can come into the United States through Canada, through Mexico, or through the overstaying process and do effectively the same thing. This has become a huge problem. I'm worried, though, that the solution would be worse than the actual problem in the end. If you had like a massive sort of lockdown situation with very, very limited travel and more hoops and hurdles to go through, that might actually be worse than the problem we're currently dealing with. So I'm hoping that they figure out some other sort of solution, actually, for this situation. As far as the Iranians go, it is interesting that a group of Iranians attempted to enter the United States less than 100 miles from me. It's a little bit odd, because normally you hear about the southern border, right? And they're building, the Bollard Wall and so forth down there and getting more ice agents in. But you generally don't really have a problem at the northern border. To those that are not familiar with this particular locality, and most of you probably could not find Vermont on a map, we're a little bit on the obscure side, and we like it that way, by the way. Unless you happen to be a second homer or a snowbird or something like that. Anyway, what happens is that, like Rutland, for example, let me use an anecdote. We are right at the crux of four major metropolitan areas. This is our state's problem. We are almost exactly an equal distance from New York to the south, Boston to the east-southeast, the Albany-Troy region to the west, and Montreal to the north, and the Burlington area, I suppose. I guess that counts as a metropolitan area. The distances are fairly equal. As a result, Rutland has become a crossroads for the drug trade, and probably for human trafficking, although thankfully I haven't seen any signs of it. We've also got a homeless crisis and a fentanyl crisis to deal with. Wonderful now, isn't it? It's nothing like it was when I was a kid, let's put it that way. It's a lot different now. Although I do disagree with that one stupid study said, well, Rutland, Vermont is one of the most violent cities in the country. Bull to the fucking shit. Absolute horse shit. Oh my God, two people died this year. It's real violent. No, don't worry about Rutland. We're still definitely a good place to go if you want to go to the farmer's market, various restaurants, or just tour around in the parks, the hills, or something like that. It's Burlington that's the problem. They admittedly, yeah, they're overrun. We're not, and Rutlanders do it differently. Trust me, if some street gang tries to set up shop, the good old boys will beat the shit out of them. This has happened before. I was told a story actually once. getting a little bit off topic, but ties into the idea of people from foreign lands coming into Vermont at the state fair, which is a shell of its former self. That's one thing that we're failing on, unfortunately. That was really fun back in the day, by the way. I enjoyed it very greatly. You can still get a bloomin' onion, though, so, there's redeeming quality there. Uh, and one of my teachers, actually, the driver's ed teacher, told us this story. Apparently, there was one incident, this is probably mid 2000s, early 2000s, somewhere around there. Some New Yorkers came up and were selling drugs and trying to intimidate people. And the good old boys got their baseball bats and beat the living shit out of them and drove them out of the city. And nobody did jack shit about it, of course, because these are all a bunch of drug dealers and shit like that. They can't make a police report because they're already criminals. And yeah, Rutlanders do it different. Don't fuck with my city. Anyway, getting off of the Rutland Pride screed here. It was funny to see this story because they tried to enter through New York, but it was Vermonters that had to respond to them, actually, which is number one, very funny. And they're Iranian. Ah, wonderful. I'm wondering if Trump is going to speak about this. Did they have explosives? Were they planning on some sort of sabotage or something like that? It is possible. The fact that I don't have a problem with Iranian people, and I don't. The Iranians are all right with me, just like Goonies are. But there are terrorist cells in some of these countries that do wish harm to the American people. I think that more needs to be done at the northern border as well. Again, the problem is you have Lake Champlain, and this is the zone in which they were trying to come in through. Well, then you have to have the Coast Guard response. You have to have an aquatic response as well. Otherwise, somebody can simply get to Canada, get a raft, and in the dead of night, they just pull themselves through the Champlain, lake and right into Vermont, potentially. Yeah, maybe they'll land in Rutland and the good old boys will beat them up too. That's about all. Peace out.